My ex says I kept him from our daughter. My mother says I abandoned the family. My boyfriend says I was cruel to his friend. Somehow, every problem in my life became my fault the moment I stopped fixing it for everyone else. I'm 31. My daughter Ivy is 4. My younger son Mason is 9 months old. Mason has serious medical needs. I don't want to go into every diagnosis, but he has specialists, therapy appointments, feeding issues, and a binder full of paperwork that weighs more than he does. I love him more than anything, but I am tired in a way sleep does not fix. My ex-husband, Callum, left during the pregnancy. Not officially at first. He just faded. Missed appointments. Short replies. Work emergencies. Long silences. Every time I asked what was happening, he said he was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed too. The difference was that I still had to show up. Then I found out there was another woman. By then, I was already sitting through high-risk appointments alone. I was already being told my baby might need NICU care. I was already holding myself together in exam rooms because nobody else was there to do it. Callum kept saying he still cared about our family, but he was building another one while mine was falling apart. When Mason was born, he spent weeks in the NICU. Callum visited once, not once a week. Once, he held Mason for less than 10 minutes, looked uncomfortable, and left because he had a lot going on. I remember sitting beside the incubator after he left and thinking, this is the person who promised me forever. Now Callum tells people I keep him from the kids. That is the part that makes me feel insane. He gets flexible visitation. He can pick weekends. He can ask for weeknights. He can call. Most of the time he does not. Then he tells mutual friends I am difficult. He tells his family I am bitter. He told Ivy once, Daddy can't always come because Mommy makes things hard. I heard that from my own child. I texted him after that. I said, do not put adult blame in her head. He replied, then stop blocking me. I said, you canceled the last 3 visits. He said, I have responsibilities. I stared at that message for a long time, because apparently his responsibilities were the reason he could disappear. Mine were the reason I was never allowed to break. At the same time, my mother started creating her own disaster. My dad died 6 years ago. My mother and I were close after that, or I thought we were. Then she got involved with a man named Greg. Greg was not just some random man. He was my dad's former business partner. They had hated each other for years. Greg blamed my dad for everything that went wrong in his life. He had screamed at him in public. He had insulted him after the funeral. I still remember Greg standing outside our house saying my father had ruined everyone around him. So when my mother told me she was pregnant by Greg, I felt like the floor disappeared. I did not yell at first. I just asked, why him? She cried. She said it was complicated. She said she was lonely. Then, a few days later, she asked if I would move back in with her for a while after the baby came. I thought I misheard her. I had 2 children, one medically fragile infant, a full-time job I was barely holding on to, and she wanted me to help raise the child she was having with the man who despised my father. I said no. She said, this baby will be your family. I said, my children are my family. They already need me. She said, you sound heartless. I said, no, I sound unavailable. That made her furious. Within a week, relatives were calling. My mother told people I had shamed her. She said I was punishing an innocent baby. She said I thought I was better than her. None of that was true. But truth does not travel as fast as a crying mother with a story. Then came my boyfriend, Eli. Eli and I had been together for a year. He moved into my apartment after Mason came home because he wanted to help. And for a while he did. He picked up groceries, watched Ivy during appointments, sat with me when I cried in the bathroom because I was too tired to cry anywhere else. I trusted him. Maybe too quickly. 2 months ago, Eli asked if his friend Nolan could stay with us for a few weeks. Nolan had lost his place. He had nowhere safe to go. I felt bad for him. I said yes. A few weeks. That was the agreement. Nolan arrived with half a storage unit. Boxes, bags, tools, clothes, food, random electronics. My apartment became smaller overnight. At first, I tried to be patient. Nolan had been through a lot. I understood that. But soon his things were everywhere. The hallway, the kitchen, the living room, even stacked beside Mason's medical supplies. That was where I started losing patience. I told Eli, I need the medical shelf clear. He said, I'll talk to him. He did not. Then Nolan started filling the cabinets with bulk food. Cans, rice, peanut butter, boxes of pasta. I had nowhere to put Ivy's snacks or Mason's formula. One morning, I opened the fridge and found 3 shelves packed with Nolan's meal prep containers. Mason's medication was pushed to the door. I moved it back and told Eli this was not okay. He said, he's just trying to feel at home. I said, he is not at home. He is staying in mine. Eli said that sounded harsh. I said, harsh is making me fight for space in the apartment where I raised 2 children. He got quiet, then said, he doesn't have anyone else. I laughed once, not because it was funny, because I was so tired of that sentence. Callum had responsibilities. My mother was lonely. Nolan had nowhere else. Everyone had a reason, and somehow I was always the solution. The turning point came on a Tuesday. Mason had a therapy appointment in the morning. I had slept maybe 3 hours. I came home carrying Mason, the diaper bag, and a folder of paperwork. Nolan was in the kitchen making lunch. There were groceries covering the counter. I asked him to move them. He sighed. Then he said, why do your things get to be everywhere and mine have to disappear? I looked around. My things? The baby bottles, the feeding pump parts, the appointment folder, the medicine calendar on the fridge. Those were not clutter. That was my child's care. I said, because this is my home and my children live here. He said, I live here too right now. I said, no, you are a guest. He said, that's messed up. Something in me snapped. I said, you are a guest in my home. You pay nothing. You take up space I do not have. The least you can do is keep your food away from my son's medical supplies. He stormed out. Eli said I humiliated him. I said, he should be embarrassed. Eli said, you know he has trauma around housing and food. I said, I have trauma too. Mine just comes with a baby monitor and hospital bills, so apparently it counts less. He said that was unfair. I said, no. What is unfair is everyone treating my home like emergency housing while I am barely surviving inside it. That night, Callum called. He wanted to take Ivy that weekend. I said yes. Then he said he could only take her for 3 hours because his new girlfriend had a baby appointment. I said, you asked for the weekend. He said, I'm trying. I said, no, you're performing. He said, this is why people think you make it hard. I said, you make it hard by showing up like a visitor and complaining you are not treated like a father. After that call, I sat on the kitchen floor, not crying, just sitting. I realized every person around me wanted credit for the smallest effort while expecting me to absorb the consequences of their choices. Callum wanted praise for 3 hours. My mother wanted me to help raise her baby. Eli wanted me to house his friend. Nolan wanted equal space in a home he did not pay for. And when I said no, I became selfish. Update 1. I gave Nolan a move-out date. 2 weeks. Eli was upset, but I told him it was not a discussion. He could help his friend find a room. He could help him move. But my apartment was no longer the backup plan. Update 2. My mother posted something vague online about daughters who forget who raised them. My aunt sent it to me. I did not respond. For once, I did not write a paragraph defending myself. People who want to misunderstand you will not be stopped by more words. Update 3. Callum canceled the 3-hour visit, then told his mother I refused to let him see Ivy. I sent her screenshots. She did not reply, but she stopped messaging me. That felt like a win. Eli and I are not okay. He says he understands now, but I am not sure, because I do not need him to understand after I break down. I need him to notice before I have to become the villain. I still love him. I love my mother too, and I want my children to have a father who shows up. But wanting things does not make them real. I am done letting people call me selfish because I will not carry consequences I did not create. And I am done making my life smaller so everyone else can feel less guilty about theirs. Maybe I am harsh now. Maybe I am not as forgiving as I used to be. But forgiveness used to mean I stayed quiet while people took more from me. I cannot do that anymore. Not with two children watching. Not with one child depending on me for everything. So if protecting my home, my children, and my sanity makes me selfish, then I am finally selfish enough to survive.